What's up, everyone? Welcome to PopCulture.com's group chat, where we talk about all the reality TV news that we care about and you really need to know. I am one of your hosts, Anna Rumor.
And I'm Jameson Brown.
And I'm Victoria McGottamy.
We've got an awesome show for you this week. When do we not have an awesome show for you this week? I say that at the beginning of every podcast, but it's true. We follow through. But we're going to break down the Lori Loughlin conviction and sentencing because Aunt Becky, oh my, Khloe Kardashian has a brand new face, at least on Instagram. Gabrielle Union is speaking out about her exit from America's Got Talent for the first time, and that's a doozy. And Scott and Sofia are no more, guys. And if love can't work with them, it can't work for the rest of us. So we'll have to dissect that. Let's start off with the Lori Loughlin drama, though, because this has been so long in the making. Were you guys actually surprised to hear that she finally agreed to plead guilty and actually
No, she should have done it a long time ago. I mean, Aunt Becky, I love you, but girlfriend, come on. Like, she was going uphill. Like, she was like, you're trying to swim upstream at that point. It ain't gonna happen.
I'm shocked that it was, what she got was just, I thought it was going to be a lot worse, to be honest with you, with like how everything played out.
I was surprised that she pled guilty now,
yes.
But because she and Mossimo pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud. And then Mossimo also pleaded guilty one count of honest services, wire and mail fraud. I don't know what that is. It sounds like the same thing, but slightly different. It's all technical.
We're not lawyers over here.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Except I think I said last week that I was, so maybe being consistent. But
it depends on the day, okay?
Right. Sometimes I forget my law degree. But so they pleaded guilty to that. She got 2 months. He got 5 months in prison. And for me, I was just surprised that they pled guilty now because it feels like the time to do that was months ago. And I'm just shocked that they got such a good deal this far in because they've really been fighting it.
Yeah.
Well, is that just a good lawyer and lots of money, or is that celebrity status, or both?
It sounds like that is corruption and money. If I had to take a wild guess.
Yeah. And like, honestly, how much money is that costing the DA's office to continue to prosecute this thing, which it's bad. You should not, commit fraud to get your children into college, but also there's a lot of important stuff going on. And how frustrating do you think it must be to be the DA going back and forth with these rich jerks who are like, I don't want to go to prison for 2 weeks. Just go.
Yes.
You committed a crime, you have to go.
Yeah.
Yes, just serve your time. I think I'm most shocked about the sentencing. I was expecting, I mean, Jameson, like you, I was expecting something a little bit more from that. But I'm not shocked that they eventually came around. Like from the get-go, the first time they pled not guilty, I was like, they're either going to fight and get their way or they're going to end up giving up. And I think, I'm just not shocked that they gave up. I think that if they had not walked away with any punishment, there would have been so much backlash from that. Like at some point, you just got to,
I'm surprised that the comparison to, with Felicity Huffman, like that didn't like weigh in a little bit more, because like it kind of I know it shouldn't, but it kind of also should in a way, because like that was like just the total opposite way to handle this scenario, right? And this one was handled this way, and it's almost like the outcomes were basically the same, maybe a little bit longer, but like basically the same. And it's just like, I don't know, I think it should be far worse in my opinion. But
well, especially because Felicity got 2 weeks, served less than that. And I guarantee that Lori and Mossimo are not serving that 2 and 5 months in prison.
No. I bet it's like 2 weeks. No. Seriously.
Oh,
like, yeah.
And the thing that I am curious about right now is I know that a lot of lawyers are advocating right now, and I agree in part with this, but I feel like they're using it a little bit as a tactic, but against the imprisonment of people amid the COVID outbreak, which is a good idea because prisons are a cesspool for the pandemic, and you're kind of setting people up to fail there. So I'm all for that, but I do feel like there's going to be a number of appeals filed to either push back their sentencing until after the pandemic, or to make it shorter, or to commute that to some kind of like community service or something like that. So I'm not sure if that's a tactic that they're using, but it sounds like it would be a good one.
Yeah. Agreed.
I mean, what money will buy you?
Right? The timing makes sense too. Especially because there's not a lot of court stuff going on right now because we're dealing with other things. So for me, just to have that kind of come up out of nowhere and just have that
It was
happen.
very random. Like, it was very random when it happened, I feel like. But yes, you bring up a good point, like the timing of it. Now that I think about it, I'm kind of like, huh.
I'm like, just curious, guys. We're always just raising questions. I have no idea.
Yes. Lawyer herself says she has no idea.
I don't know.
Guys.
I'm just a conspiracy theorist. But I'm just excited kind of to see their kids be able to move forward, because whatever you say about Olivia Jade and Isabella being spoiled or not really caring about going to college, because that's been a lot of the narrative surrounding it. They also didn't do anything. So I would love for them to be personally able to move past that, although it's going to be an ink stain on their record for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a huge like wake up call for them too. I mean, just moving forward and everything that they do, like, let's just stick to the truth on this one. And if they don't, they obviously haven't learned their lesson, but I think it's just a really good wake up call for them, you know?
Yeah. Right.
Hopefully so.
And a lesson that not everyone needs to go to college, guys. Olivia Jade was doing just fine before this on YouTube, and now,
right?
What are you gonna do?
Yep.
And she's still gonna be fine.
You wind up in a pile of student loan debt.
Yeah, right.
It's where we all are.
No need. Whatever. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, rich people always kind of come out being fine. So I don't particularly feel bad for anyone in this family. They're gonna be okay. They have gobs of money, so good for them. And even prison, Aunt Becky. So let's move on to Khloe Kardashian's new face, which is the only thing that I've been able to think about since it was posted over the weekend, and also possibly the embodiment of my sleep paralysis demon. I cracked myself up.
She really, I just love that you cracked up so hard at that. It made my day.
Oh my God. I have to. I'm the only one. So Khloe posted a picture of herself over the weekend that is unrecognizable. It's not her face. It's not what she looks like. We've seen her before on TV and in pictures, and that's not what she looks like.
Listen, let me tell you something. I think the picture looks gorgeous. I think Khloe's gorgeous anyway. But we were talking about this. I don't know if it was last week or a couple of weeks ago. I'm the worst at telling like what is photoshopped and what. Like, you could honestly fool me unless something is like bent in the background.
I was gonna say, when the picture bends like that.
Yeah.
Yes. But sometimes it doesn't bend. Like, you just have a really good Photoshop, you know? And for me, I'm like, oh my God, it's so pretty. And I don't know that it's Photoshopped. I looked at that and was like, Photoshop written all over that. Oh my
I was
God.
going to say, if you didn't clock that one, we are going to have a seminar, because this one is,
this to the untrained eye, I could see.
Well, and it's wild too, because I've taken a closer look at it, and her eye is uneven. Her one eye, her head's a little tilted, but if you were to straighten it out, her one eye is still about like an inch up. Her chin is warped in to create a new jawline. Her arm is basically not attached to her body if you follow it up, because they've made it so skinny, and she's missing half the chain on her necklace because they forgot to add it back in. What?
I was looking for something because she posted a series of photos. So I was going through all of them. I was like, I'm going to catch what's photoshopped, and I missed that.
It's just like, give the pictures to me, Kardashians. I disagree with photoshopping pictures on Instagram in general, but like, I could do a better job, and that's just from messing around on Photoshop for 25 minutes. It's awful. So bad.
0 out of 10.
She is missing half her chain. I just pulled it up.
Yeah, it's blatant. I mean, just, they're so rich. It's shocking to see them make these mistakes, and they make them all the time. So it's just like, who is your graphic designer, guys?
Hold on. Anna, question, conspiracy theory question. I mean, do you think that something that is like that is just so ridiculous and so like obviously bad, is there a reason it would be done on purpose?
I mean, it definitely made headlines. So
yep.
It's
they are good at it.
I feel like if she had stuck to the second and the third photo, people wouldn't notice as much. It's that first photo that she posted of her smiling. That's just like, this is not you.
The thing is that even if they did post it to make headlines, I feel like, I don't know if Khloe would be in on the fact that it's such a bad Photoshop, because she's talked about how she has such a tough relationship with her body and with her face after, years of being called the ugly sister, the fat sister, which is really messed up on society's part. So I do feel bad for her on that perspective, because that's got to warp your brain in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But also now she's a mom, she's 30 something. At a certain point, you just have to not put that much effort into it and recognize that you are making yourself look like a fool.
Well, in my personal opinion too, I think it's so easy for society to label any reality star, that they're just doing this for headlines, they're just doing this for the show, they're just doing this. But at some point, I think that we also need to understand, like, these are just humans. Like, they are not perfect. They don't do everything just for a headline. They go through real problems the way that we do. So I think everyone just they're so quick to pin things on, like, let's be real. The Kardashians don't need headlines. You know what I mean? Like, they are like essentially America's royalty at this point.
You are so much nicer than me.
They thrive off of headlines.
Kudos to you. You are so much nicer than I am on this take.
I mean, I feel like not everything they do is just for headlines, like, they're just
You're right.
human.
Some of it they do in private.
I can't win in this conversation. No, Kardashians, if you're listening, I love you.
No. I respect the hustle. In my perspective, I respect the hustle, because I think that most of what they do is publicly is for headlines, but that's their job. They're reality stars. So I don't begrudge them for that in any way, shape, or form. I just think it's important for us to look at reality. And I do appreciate your kind of more humanity focused on it too, because that's also something we can lose perspective on when we look at these people like they're characters in a TV show, which is easy for me to do specifically. But the lens that I put over it is we just have to be skeptical of what these people who are pushing their lifestyle and their brand and their aesthetic as ideal on us, because they are warping our societal standards of what is okay.
Yes, I will agree with you on that. Like, I also very much think that, when we looked, this was several weeks ago, when Kylie Jenner was caught without like full-faced makeup and her lips almost looked normal again.
Yeah.
Like, that was so refreshing to see, because I'm so sick of as women in this society, you have people like the Kardashians setting standards that not everyone can live up to. So it's like, listen, I'm glad you look beautiful. I'm glad you feel confident, but like, you're also talking about like not body shaming and loving ourselves, but yet you are setting such an unrealistic standard. And then, the rest of us just look like a blob over here because we're just, trying to use our
painting cheekbones on our face.
Kids these days, okay, that are younger than me are contouring their face. I don't even know how to contour my face. Like,
yeah, me neither.
Why is this a thing?
But Jameson, your contour's flawless.
I know.
Hey,
but
y'all.
You're welcome. No, it's the same. It's the balance of them being human beings and being able to make mistakes and us having empathy for them. And also, what kind of responsibility do you have when you have such a large spotlight, especially for crafting societal norms? Like, remember back when everyone didn't look like the Kardashians, and now every celebrity looks exactly like the Kardashians?
Yeah.
People are going under the knife to look like them. At a certain point, you have a responsibility to step up and make better choices and not Photoshop the hell out of your face.
That is true. I do agree with that.
Yeah. So I think that we both are on the same side of the different sides of the same thing.
But also too, I think society has put so much pressure on them, because if they do, it's like I don't even know like how to like form the words that I'm trying to say, but like if they don't look perfect, then society bashes them for it. So they feel so much pressure to do all this photoshopping, I would assume, to look perfect, but then we still get onto them for that. So I also think too, it's part of society that we should like, you know, just accept them with all of their flaws, you know?
Yeah. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy too. Well, I mean, when you put forth a brand that is perfection and do that kind of thing, then when people catch you slipping up or not being perfect, then people jump all over you. Meanwhile, there are other celebrities just looking from a brand perspective, not saying they're better people or worse people, but there are celebrities like Chrissy Teigen and like Kristen Bell and stuff like that, who their brand is, I'm not perfect, I'm real. And they post stuff that's messy all the time and they get praised for it. So it's also kind of like, what PR lens are you putting?
That's a great point.
Yeah,
so
good point.
It's really interesting. There are the college courses on this. This is like society in a nutshell. But I do think that this has been an interesting conversation. Yeah. Let's go back to the dumb side of the Kardashians. Yes,
our favorite.
About Scott and Sofia breaking up because that is juicy.
Shocker. So the real question is, oh, sorry, you go ahead.
Oh no. We are back from our break, and we are talking about Scott and Sofia, Scott Disick, Sofia Richie, like there's any other Scott, Sofia that we care about. They are donezo after 3 years of dating, and are we shocked? Are we not shocked? I'm kind of like in the middle, but I can't tell if that's just because I don't have any emotions anymore based on COVID.
I'm not shocked at all.
Yeah.
Not a bit.
Victoria, you're also shaking your head no.
I know. I'm all I got so excited. I didn't even like let us go to break properly. I mean, didn't even know we were in break, guys. Not shocked. But I always felt like this potentially was coming because of Kourtney's relationship with Scott. Now, this is only speculation that Kourtney potentially had something to do with their breakup. But then also with him going back to rehab, I don't know. I kind of saw it coming. There for a while, though, I really thought that they were going to last. I mean, there for like a split second, I was like, okay, like this, you're cute. But when I saw that they broke up, I was like, I'm just not surprised that much. I still think that potentially Kourtney and Scott are going to get back together.
I kind of feel the same way, just because they do have a really interesting bond and they are very close co-parenters, but also I can imagine how annoying it would be if you got to a really good co-parenting relationship with your ex and everyone's like, when are you getting back together? Never.
Yeah.
I was kind of the same thing with Scott and Sofia. When they first got together, I was like, okay, absolute yikes. Their age gap is whack. Like he just turned 37 and she's 21. Ugh, that's a red flag for me right away. But then they did really well. It's been 3 years. And so I was starting to think that they were kind of legit. And then we get the bomb dropped on us. But you're right. The rehab thing where he was dealing with some emotional trauma. Things are shifting that we don't know about. And I'm curious to know what those things are.
And like, I don't know if it was last season or the season before. I think it was the season before when Kourtney turned 40. And she was so just like a hot mess because she felt so behind in life on certain things. And all I could think about that entire time is I think Kourtney wants someone to be with, but Kourtney also, I mean, over the years, like it's no secret, she's kind of a challenge to deal with.
She's tough.
Like she's tough, you know what I mean? Like you really have to be a special kind of someone to put up with that. And so I think that Scott kind of knows how, and I think she probably always wanted to be with Scott, but she just wanted him to have his stuff together. And I feel like now that he's like getting his stuff together, he's kind of turning into the guy that she kind of always wanted him to be. So I just would not be shocked if they got back together. And I would not be shocked if she had something to do with this breakup.
Well, Page Six actually reported today, a source close to the couple, I mean, who knows, but a source close to the couple said that Kourtney had something to do with it because she didn't, quote, like make it easy on Sofia. I agreed with the first part where maybe Kourtney had something to do with it, but I disagree. From what we've seen, I feel like Kourtney's been super nice to Sofia. They go on family vacations together. There's been whole episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashian where she's like, no, I like them together. So, I mean, unless there's something nefarious happening behind the scenes, I was a little sus about that.
Yeah, I think that they get along fine. I mean, I think
Right.
at first it was an awkward scenario and we kind of followed them through that part of the story, but I
Because
think,
she's a child. It's weird,
well, that, and like also too, just in general, like when you have kids, like what kind of example are you going to set around my children when I'm not around? You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
so I think that for rightful reasons, she had every reason to be concerned. But I think once those guards started dropping, the two just got along,
Yeah,
I
she
agree
said
with you.
something where she wasn't starting drama and she was easy to be around. And you see that. I mean, Sophia's never really in the tabloids actually saying anything or doing anything. All the stories we get about her are just her like walking around, which sounds nice.
Yeah, that's a good.
She seems very low key.
She never says anything. Like actually, quotes never really come out from her.
Yeah,
good point.
There was an interview with an Australian newspaper a couple years ago. I don't know why this sticks in my head that she did. I swear I have no idea. That just is in my brain for some reason. I think it was like 2 years ago.
It's like a beautiful mind going off right there. Like 3 years ago.
It's actually kind of embarrassing, but all she had to say were really nice things. And she said that she and Scott had a great relationship and talked a little bit about her dad. And it was like, well, okay, that was not a bombshell interview, but it certainly is the only one that I know of.
I think she's pretty low key. I don't think that she likes necessarily, like, I think a lot of the reason why she wasn't on the Kardashians, on Keeping Up with Kardashians for a long time was by her choice. She didn't want to be in front of the cameras, and I don't know how that conversation shifted because she did start appearing on some episodes, but I think she just kind of likes to like be in the background. Like, she knows the paparazzi are following her, but she's not doing anything to like grab attention. She's just like, I'm just here.
I feel like that's what happens. There's two roads that diverge from having really famous parents, and the Kardashians and Sofia Richie are kind of the two different paths. One where you can just thrust yourself full on the spotlight and have that be your whole life, or you can be Sofia Richie where she's successful, she's a model, she's in the public eye, but she doesn't really talk or do anything really newsworthy.
It's like she controls that as much as she wants, like perfkely, which is pretty cool to see.
Wow, I just realized so much stuff about Sofia Richie today.
I
always kind of liked her.
I think we like her.
I think we're all on board here.
Huh. Yeah.
Well, sorry, Sophia. Maybe now you're 21, so it's not as...
You can drink legally. Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited to see how that unfolds on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and we'll keep our eye out for Scott because we all have big love for him in our hearts.
Yes.
All right, the last topic of the week is probably the weightiest, the most interesting in my perspective. Back in November, we learned that Julianne Hough and Gabrielle Union wouldn't be returning to America's Got Talent after just one season. That was kind of sus. And then news came out that there was a toxic work environment in the background of the show, and that Gabrielle had spoken out against it, and that was kind of the reason she had been pushed out. She'd spoken a little bit on it before, like a couple tweets, but nothing really detailing what happened. We just had the Variety reports to go on for that. But she just did a full interview with Variety. I recommend that everyone go and read the whole thing because we're just going to touch on some of the topics here. And she really is such a well-spoken person that
I love her.
The segment on this outline is way longer than all the others because I just wanted to put in a million of her quotes, but I'm also not going to read all her quotes to you. But she talked about what had happened behind the scenes. The number one thing was Simon Cowell insisting on smoking inside. He says that he didn't insist on it, but whatever. She had said that she got chronic bronchitis because he wouldn't stop smoking inside, which of course she said freaked out Howie Mandel, who's been very open about his OCD regarding germs. So she went to production about that several times and, nothing happened. That was already weighing on her. Then Jay Leno came on as a guest, and he told a racist joke about perverting the stereotypes of Asian people eating dog meat. So that's messed up. And she was like, yikes, that's not great. She thought about saying something to him. Was like, well, there's got to be some kind of HR method of talking about this, as there are in workplaces where people are saying inappropriate things. but they just said, oh, we're just going to edit it out, and didn't address it with him. And she was like, excuse me? We need to reprimand him. There was another act that was racist. It kind of used a little bit of blackface. And she was standing out against that. And they told the act to rework what they were doing to exclude that, but they didn't exclude them from the performance altogether. You know, just a lot of little, I mean, not little, these are all pretty big, but a lot of these things building up and up and up until she was just saying that I couldn't stay silent about it. They were asking me to shrink myself to look past these issues. And I always thought the show was going to be so diverse and giving these people who wouldn't have a chance to perform otherwise an opportunity to have a global network. But looking at how it was being produced and the conditions we were all being asked to work under, it just wasn't sustainable.
Did you say that the last one was like an actual group of performers for the show?
Yeah, it was just one performer, I believe. And he was putting on like black gloves and as part of like a racial imitation.
I'm surprised they even let that just
be a thing. Yeah.
Be registered, period.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know how the whole act played out, but yeah, I was kind of shocked at that too. And for them to just be like, "We'll just edit that out," instead of saying, or ask him to revamp it instead of just being like, "Hey, how about this race just goes away?" You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Gabrielle Union, and I love that when that happened, I remember her husband, Dwayne Wade, tweeting about it. And I think he posted on Instagram about it. Don't quote me on that. And for the life of me, I cannot remember verbatim what he said. But, I mean, he was standing by his wife's side, and he was supporting her. He congratulated her for her time on the show. And he wrote it in such a classy way. Like, it was just time to go. You know, some things had happened that she wasn't in support of, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I love her. I think she's amazing. And I think that that's good. She didn't create like this crazy stir about it. You know what I mean? Like, I think, but I can respect that if there's issues that are going on behind the scenes, you know, I think that is also shedding a lot of light on that show, you know,
well,
straighten some things out.
Right. Well, and NBC did release a statement and has launched a full investigation to all these claims. They said that they've made a bunch of changes behind the scenes, although they didn't really go into what those are. So, you know, that remains to be seen. And Simon is still with the show, so we'll see with that. But I just thought that if you are in a position like that where you can speak out against these things, because the PAs on the show, the assistants on the show who are having problems with it, what are they going to do? They've got no power institutionally in this.
That's a great point.
So for
and
her,
a lot of those people are just trying to get to the next level,
right? Or just get paid and not get fired.
Yeah. Especially right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So for her she said one quote that I thought was particularly apt. She said, "If I can't speak out with the privilege that I have and the benefits that my husband and I have, what is the point of making it? What's the point of having a seat at the table and protecting your privilege when you're not doing to help other people? It's absolutely terrifying to speak truth to power about anything. I'm trying not to be terrified, and some days are better than others."
Good for her.
Well said.
Right? I was like, man,
that's awesome.
You could have just written the article, Gabrielle. Like,
I know.
So I was like, wow, this is really good. I can't believe you talk like this. I talk like an idiot 90% of the time.
But that's, I mean, that kind of even just speaks to what we were talking about with the Kardashians. Like, when you are on that level and you have that big of a platform and you have that much movement behind you just with your name alone and your brand, like, use that for good. And the Kardashians have, I mean, like Kim, I mean, getting into law, she's done great things. So I'm not bashing the Kardashians at all. Like, I'm just saying, like, what we were talking about, having that big platform, that's really good that Gabrielle wanted to use her platform to make positive change, and I'm sure that there's some other people behind the scenes who are breathing a sigh of relief too.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like the size, like Kylie Jenner, just for example, like the size of her Instagram following is like a little bit less than half of the population of like America.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Like when you put it in like the perspective of a size of a country. So,
and that's why these women get paid the big bucks. Just
yes.
Well, and I just thought it was Gabrielle also had a quote about just the indoor smoking where she was saying, yeah, maybe I can handle it, maybe I can suck it up, and she realized that I think the quote was, I'm not the only one being poisoned. Like there's everyone else in here who isn't famous, who doesn't get to say something about Simon Cowell smoking inside. I'm the one who gets to say something about it. So
did she specify, has anyone said anything to Simon about that? I mean, I'm sure surely someone had to have said something.
Oh yeah. She was said that she was told that good luck. We've said stuff. It doesn't matter. It's illegal. So you can't do that in general, but
But that to me, like, dude, just go outside. Like, you're not that above everyone,
Oh,
that
the
irritates
things
me.
that rich people are above. Yeah. Well, that's
me
depressing.
To my core.
Oh, class warfare is a nice place to end it. But
and back down to reality.
The interview is really good. I think everyone should read it. It was really interesting. I was interested in the whole saga going forth, and this feels like a nice little wrap up, although hopefully there will be more follow-up from NBC and America's Got Talent as time goes on. Also, if they wanted to bring back Gabrielle, I'm not sure if she would even want to come back as a judge, but she was delightful that season that she was on. So
yeah.
Let's move on to our pop culture picks of the week. What are you guys feeling this week?
Jameson, if you steal mine.
I don't think I
feel
will.
like everyone's going to steal each other's this week.
I promise. I don't think so. I've got two kind of smaller ones. So the first one is So Jazzed, American Horror Story, coming back for season 10, I believe. Yeah. Really sad it's delayed, I think, right now. But the fact that it's coming back, I love that show. There are a couple seasons that suck, but ultimately it's really, really entertaining show. So there's one. And speaking of delays, for number 2, it's there
it is.
Wait, are we talking about SpaceX?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
sorry.
I
feel like such an a-hole too because I did 2.
Okay, we can have a collective one. How excited were you guys for SpaceX, and then how bummed were you when it was delayed?
In true SpaceX fashion, something happens, and I know these are just such macro things that are being accomplished here, in terms of shooting a rocket into space. It's a massive undertaking, so things are going to go wrong. But I just feel like with SpaceX specifically, like every time there is something that delays it, cancels it, it goes, explodes in the middle of the air. Something happens, and then I was watching the live stream from NASA, and then like everything was going fine, and then like you see this cloud in the distance, and they're like,
no,
and everyone's like, wait a second, no, please, and it's like, really bad weather coming in, and what do you know? So
it was like 15 minutes before it was.
I know.
I was so excited.
I know. I mean, and then they pushed it to Saturday, and of course, everyone that I'm texting, I was in a group message about it, and I'm like, I mean, I'm going to be out on a boat on Saturday while this is going down, which don't get me wrong, I'm happy to be out on a boat. It's summertime and we've been quarantined for the last God knows how long. But
I refuse to feel bad for you.
I know. I mean, don't feel bad for me, not at all. But I was like ready to like watch it on TV, and like I had my computer going because we were all working, and I was like ready to go and so excited. And I mean, I'm glad they didn't, because Jameson, I don't know if you were listening to the same live stream that I was, but it was on YouTube, and you could hear the communication between, forgive my lack of professional terms here, but like the people that were determining if the weather was, I guess, the meteorologist, you could hear the communication, and they were saying, like, I guess NASA was asking, like, are we good? And they were like, I mean, we would be breaking so many rules at this point, it's just not a smart idea. So just to hear the behind the scene communication to me was super cool. Oh my God, this is real. This is not a movie, you guys. This is real.
Well, and I was watching Discovery's live broadcast where they had all sorts of astronauts and stuff like that weighing in. Yes. Katy Perry was supposed to perform, but she didn't because it didn't launch, which was sad for me. But she'll perform on Saturday, I think. But they were saying it's good to delay because who remembers a delay versus how many people remember a disaster? And I was like, yes, yeah, you're right. But I'm
Their safety is important.
Yes, I bet that's going to be super cool.
do y'all not think about like, they've seemed so cool, calm and collected, but I'm like, I would be so nervous because this is a new machine. And like, I don't know, I'm just nervous for them.
Well, I'm excited. I did an interview with astronaut Mike Massimino. He did 2 space shuttle runs, and we were talking about it. And he said that right beforehand, you're a little nervous, but you were so focused on what you've been training for so long. But it's like, let's just do this at that point.
Let's just do it.
So I can't imagine the adrenaline in their bodies just going.
Yeah.
I was going to say them strapped in for like a hot minute and then they're go. And then they're like, all right, we're not doing this today. It's like,
okay.
Now they got to like go through that again. Yeah. Cool.
But it's super interesting. Mike was saying that he's excited for the next phase of space exploration because we'll finally be able to get back to that. And we were talking about space tourism, and there's absolutely no way you're getting me on a rocket, but it's cool for other people. So I'm looking forward to other people going.
Yes, that's going to be a cool new path for us to open, just, as a culture and as a society. That'll be really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, don't forget to follow popculture.com for all your up-to-date news. We will be covering SpaceX on Saturday, so check all that out. We're on Facebook. I'm on Twitter at Anna Rumor.
I'm at Jameson G. Brown.
And I'm at V. Megotomy.
Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there for you. And we're talking about space and maybe society a little bit. So, so stick with us. We'll be back next week with another great show.
Bye.